goddamn car. I'm crunchy for things to do. It really never haunts me. The record's out. Props is a true thug's wife. Do the same shit again from the womb to the tomb, cause I'm the unpredictable. True lies and white guys, so we can see it through their eyes. Little children, smack him in the cabbage in the woodwork. Trading in their Lexus GS and sending messages. What I strive for is what I live for. I see a big pot of gold. In my life, I want to see Tupac. Hurry up, you connects all mine. And what the fuck is you looking at? By the way, young blood, hit me up with that green gray hat. Got hurt. I told you when you was wild, like, what you hurt? How did it feel? Your family from Shaolin. I got you. Ice picks. happy dog colors, man. Background and rich again.
say, honestly,
I messed up. I tried to tell her.
You are using the tab you need to stop right now.
Anyone who's never used the TM just got their identity exposed.
We're gonna launch a startup about exposing men and then not like with cybersecurity. What's up guys, it's your Mima and I'm back again with another video. So today is actually a little bit different. Today is a national holiday. Okay, if you're unaware, today is actually my birthday. And what better way for me to spend my birthday than to spend it with you guys, doing what I love, having the conversations that we love to talk about, and also spreading some enlightenment on what's going on with the T app. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the T app, what it is, what's going on, and now what people are calling. Actually did a full breakdown. I'm going to go ahead and pause the play and then give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions on this entire crazy situation.
Breaking down what's going on TikTok today, the T app data breach explained. The T app is meant to be a safety network application where women can go in to review men. They upload a picture of them and they say, does anyone know men? Red flag, green flag, leave reviews, leave comments, and it's basically like a Yelp for men.
So again, I'm going to reiterate what she's saying. The T app, it has been around for a while, but it just went viral on TikTok. So viral that it was the #1 app in the App Store. Okay, and so a lot of women use it to, as she said, give information of like, this is a bad guy, this is not a guy, this is a good guy, red flag, green flag. And you can be on the app and accumulate red flags, right? So obviously if there's a man that you know or that you've seen somewhere and you see his picture, it can have maybe 8 to 10 red flags. There's going to be comments or reviews left in the comment section of that person, which is extremely insane to me. And that way you can know kind of like what you're getting into. If you are dating someone that you have no connection with, you have no friends with, you know, it's just a stranger out there, you can hear from some of the women who have also experienced that man.
So this app's been around for a while, but July 2025, it went viral on TikTok, accumulated 4 million users. It became #1 in the App Store. It's meant to help women filter out men they're about to go on dates with from dating apps, because on dating apps you can go on a date with anyone. You're scrolling on there and there's a guy that you're interested in that you're about to go on a date with, and you see him and you're like, he has 5 different red flags. So this app is meant to help you decide, should I go on a date with a stranger? How many red flags or green flags does he have? People are uploading pictures of people. In the T app, there's no men, women only. In order to get into the T app, you have to upload a picture of your ID because it's used as self-verification. Because remember, no men are allowed on this app.
I want to say this, right? To think that we're in the day and age that men are viewed as not as human beings, not as people who can go through things, not as people who can change, evolve, or whatever, that they are reviewed, just like how you can leave a review on a store or something like that, is absolutely absurd. If there was an app that was men
like
only,
that,
created to talk about women,
they'll be crying.
it would be banned, there'd be an uproar, people would be going off, how dare you, this is privacy, people would be, throwing out lawsuits out there. And it's so crazy that it's been so normalized and everybody's been kind of like okay with it. And, we live in an era where not everybody's even going to tell the truth. You have some women who are going to go on there who are heartbroken, who are disheartened because the man didn't want them, who are then going to create whatever narrative is going to deter women away from that man just because he didn't want to put up with, deal with, or be in a relationship with a certain kind of woman, but you don't know her. Right? You don't know who she is. You don't know if she's somebody who tells the truth. You don't know if she's a narcissist herself. And not knowing that this woman might just be a weirdo stalker who is trying to deter women, like I said, away from this man just because they can. That's absolutely insane to me. And like I said, if there was...
And also another rule of this app is dating safety network, so we don't want to piss off these men by telling them, oh, you're on the app. Like, no. This kind of reminds me of the concept of, are we dating the same guy? That's wild, and from a lot of the reviews that I saw of these people being on the T app, they were saying, girl, what do you mean is he a red flag or green flag? That man looks like a walking red flag. So anyways, I guess very heinous men on the T app, and are we dating the same guy? So anyways, the T app data breach, July 25th, 2025, T app data breach happened. 72,000 images were leaked. 13,000 of those were IDs that were used for selfie verification, because remember, to get into the T app, you had to upload a picture of your ID to verify that you were a woman, so that way they could keep them in the account. And 59 profile pictures and media posts and messages were all leaked as well. So this only affected users that joined the app before February 2024. This app just started getting popular on TikTok recently. So if you joined after February 2024, you're fine. But if you joined before February 2024, you are going to get a pretty penny from this lawsuit. So how the did the T app data breach happen? Well, apparently there was an exposed Firebase. I don't know what that means, but what I do know is that apparently all of this information, like the images, the selfies, all of that, it's stored in, like, they didn't put a password on it. So this folder was not locked. Apparently there was like some metadata or URL, and the hacker, we're not gonna call the hacker a hacker because all they did was like Tumblr-esque, like tracing metadata back, kind of. They found the folder, saw that it was unlocked, they downloaded everything, comments, posts, pictures, people's addresses from their IP, and uploaded it online to the shared map. So what started off as a dating safety network app is out to the public on a little map with their addresses pointed on there, and all their information is leaked.
Now here's my thing, right? Here's my opinion. First of all, you put your information or whatever on any app. You know, that's your risk that you're taking. Regardless of what the app is, how long it's been around, you know, what company it is, that is to be a risk that you are doing when you have to upload any of your private documents onto, you know, these places. That's a risk that you take. You know, that there's possibilities that, you know, data breaches could happen, leaks can happen, whatever the case. The issue is, right, is that this is all surrounding protecting women, but in the same, you know, space, how can we know that what these women are putting onto these apps are actually true? How do we know that? And why isn't there an equivalent, right? Why isn't there a crazy woman app where, you know, men can also see when they go on these apps, no, she might set you up to get, you know, lying, no, you know, this woman is, you know, it's crazy, has emotional issues, you know, what, how there is not equivalent? How come in the dating space the only mindset is to protect women, as if there's not crazies out there that are actually women? That's my number one concern. I believe that if you are on places like dating apps or whatever, there should be some level of background check. There should be some level of I don't even know how they would do it, right? I don't know how they would do it, but some kind of thing where they can kind of like pick and see through who shouldn't be on there, who should be on there, whatever the case is. And in creating this new app, now all those women who was lying on men, if they were, or tell the truth, or whatever the case is, now they are at risk for people to find out who exactly it is, their driver's license information, so they can not only see that you posted about them in the comments that you made, but they can also come up and find you. Okay, so the T is cold at this point. The T is cold. Don't nobody want to go in the app. People are afraid now, even though she was saying that all the people in, you know, who recently signed up are safe. People are very concerned about this. So much so that there was another video posted in which a woman was saying, like, people are taking this too lightly.
If you are using the T app, you need to stop right now. The data leak that people reported this week is actually way worse than what the headlines say. Everything I'm about to share, we figured out with like 20 minutes of research. It actually gets way worse. Like your private messages, information, etc. could just be everywhere. Morning, somebody says T app breach exposes 72,000 selfies, ID photos, like actual driver's license. Just to be clear, this was hack. Nobody hacked the app. All of this information is available on publicly accessible Google Firebase servers. So anyone technical could go in and get any of the verification photos that people used to prove that they were a woman. Not good. All this metadata is publicly available, and so they even made a map of where all the users are. Also, not good. Not only that, but all of your private messages are accessible. Here, oh my god, I never knew that. I always knew he was a scammer, but he broke to me and never spent money and was living with his roommate at the time. It's another one. I hate him. He is so pathetic. I can see that user A, like the specific user sending that to user B, like another specific user. I don't want to say their username. Just look at the URL here. It can be downloaded. And we figured this out in like 20 minutes. We haven't tested this out, but we're pretty sure you can delete any account. I kind of don't think it's a bad idea.
So we have this woman saying, go ahead and delete the account. Okay? Just act like you never existed. Act like you wasn't over there trying to share no tea or spread no tea. Because this is dangerous to you. And now I see why, you know, a lot of men were literally going on our woman from being, with or in a relationship with a certain type of man because of maybe their experience with him in 5th grade, or just because of the fact that, like I said, you know, he didn't give them what they wanted out of the situation. You know, all of their information is now at risk. All of what they said, you know, is at risk. They can't even say they didn't say something or whatever, because whoever is able to get into this information, however way they're able to do it, okay, they are now going to have exactly what you said, when you said it, who you spoke to, the times that you did it. They're going to have all of this information to their leisure. They can do whatever they want with that information. They can, you know, try to sue you for defamation. They can come on you. Like, that is extremely dangerous. So the same dangerous men that you are complaining about or making lies about, whatever it is that you're doing, can now turn around, get said information, and then show you how dangerous they really are. So if women really wanted to sift through or get into certain spaces, I believe that, you know, if you're on places that are like free dating apps, probably you don't know what you're going to get, you know, a bargain with. You need to be in a space that you are going to, have to pay maybe to be on a certain type of app or whatever the case is, so that you know that this person is also putting some type of investment into the situation. You know, I just personally believe that the best way to get to know somebody is organically. Okay? Some kind of connection where you can figure out like who they are, you know, somebody that you know that they're connected to. I've always thought that that made the most sense, because just meeting somebody from scratch, you have no idea the basis of that person. You can always get to know and grow, whatever, but if you have like some kind of, you know, connection to this person, whether it be work, whether it be a friend, whether it be somebody who knows this person, I always thought that that was the best way to go. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. I think organically, naturally, in person is a whole different ball game than if you get somewhere and you're just talking to somebody and you guys, you know, hit it off, whatever the case. But like I said, that's just my own personal opinion.
I downloaded the T app to see what all the hype is about. I have no business on there, but I wanted to mind everybody else's business. So I finally get in 3 days later. I'm scrolling through a list of men I'll never meet, never want to know, don't give a f about. But I'm like, let me read these comments, because as soon as somebody got 18 red flags, I need to read the comments to see what's going on around me. But none of this is my business, and I should have never downloaded the app to begin with. I am more embarrassed for the women than I am the men on that actual app. Big ups to the women that post, like, yes, he's abusive, there's a warrant against him for abusing me, blah, like that. Those are the type of things I expected to see on an app. I was just being nosy. But I'm reading the comments, and y'all talk about something. Does he does he good? I don't give a fuck. I never really talk about does he good.
This is foolishness. Okay? And as that woman said before, being embarrassed, listen, when I saw people hyping this up, I already knew what this was going to be about. I already knew that it was going to be some foolishness on there. I already knew it was going to be people playing around on people's name. I already knew that it was going to be filled with women lying on men. Okay, I knew that that was what this whole thing was going to encompass. And so the people who were actually on there thinking that they're doing, you know, a good thing, or thinking that they are bringing awareness to certain situations where, you know, first of all, if a woman is dating a man, she can do a background check. Okay, and that's only for lasting things, that somebody else's word for something, because even if that person acted a certain way with you, they might act very differently with somebody else. So it's a very hard thing to prove. But I knew once this app went number one that it was going to be full of foolishness. Okay, I knew it. And I think a lot of other people knew that as well. And for the women who went on there and like her and get to come back and tell us the foolishness that she sees that the women are keeping up on this app. Exactly. Okay? Exactly. Shows to prove that while they talk about, oh, men are the enemy and we choose the bear, and if women were around, women protect one another. While these women are on the app saying, I don't care about what he did to you. What's it hit? Like, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But this what you know, a lot of these feminists and stuff like that say they want. Women only spaces, women only apps, only for women to go out there and go show their tail, only for you to be on this app that was not, you know, apparently secure in the first place, and have all this accessible information that you didn't even realize was actually happening.
Anyone who's ever used the images, including photo IDs, and someone even made an interactive map of where all of the users were. They even call it a hack is giving people a bit too much credit because it was really due to poor programming. They used no security measures whatsoever, and anyone could have found this information pretty easily. Unfortunately for any woman who used the app, their information is now out in the public forever. The T app was recently the #1 app in the App Store. After this whole debacle, they might be getting sued into oblivion.
It was not even like, you know, they were saying hacked and data breach, only to find out that the information was just up there. Like, if you have any kind of similar or small skills in coding, you could have found all this information out yourself because of poor security.
This is going to be a really insane lawsuit. So yeah, that's the T-App data breach explained. This was not a high-tech data breach. They literally just traced back metadata and found the open folder because the creators of the app didn't the folder. Like, so simple. It was just negligence on the app creators for not locking it up. To wrap up the literal T, apparently all this information that was stored in this file that was meant to be private was actually supposed to get deleted, and they didn't delete it, so that was double negligence. They didn't delete the information that they collected, like the IDs for selfie verification, and they didn't think to lock it up. How are you going to launch a startup about exposing men and then not 3 steps forward? Like, oh my god, men are going to get pissed. Men are petty. DDG and Wendy. I see the vision. It has a really great purpose, but it was just like one dumb little thing that ruins it all. A lot of people were saying on TikTok the other day that it started to become drama, so I think it was gonna go down anyway. Because then men were saying, oh, this is defamation, but also the men that were getting on this page were penis. Elon Musk also just exposed all our information recently, so I hate men.
You know, she's doing her feminist due diligence. Obviously, that's what she's doing. She's breaking up people's names, making their situation. As you know, how to put people. See, it's just ironic on this app trying to expose men. All of their information is being exposed. Like, that is the irony of it all. The irony of it all. I don't know. All I have to say is, you know, for the people, like I said, who they're lying and doing all this stuff and putting people's business